Hello again. Now, throughout her childhood and teenage life, Debra Reynolds hid her disability and lied to everyone, her friends, family and even doctors, in a desperate bid not to be different.
13 years ago, Debbie finally admitted to the world that she was deaf, and she's now turned her life around to help others. And we welcome you. And we're having this conversation because you are a brilliant lip reader.
Yes, I speak as well. Yeah.
Great. So it's very nice to meet you.
And you.
So, when did you, as a child, when did you first notice that you were having trouble hearing what people were saying?
It was my mother that noticed first, my mum. Obviously, she was talking to me and I wasn't acknowledging her and stuff, and took me to the audiologist. I was about 5 years old really, and I was getting infections, but it wasn't really recognised then, you know, how deaf I really was.
Yes.
And it was when I got older really, probably about 12, 13, when I was going to the audiologist. I knew I had a problem because I couldn't hear at school, especially when the teachers were talking to the blackboard. They had their back to me, so I just ended up talking to whoever was sat next to me, you know.
But you cheated in those audiology tests, didn't you?
When you say I lied, it was a secret. Yeah, I used to see the audiologist, you know, pressing the buttons, and I used to know, I think, well, obviously there must be a sound now, so I'm like, yeah, well. Yep, so she said it to my mum, we just can't get accurate results from Debra's audiology's results. We just don't know what's going on there. I was like, oh.
How was it affecting your school work, your kind of results and your actual exams?
Well, I could have done better at school. Like I say, you know, I wouldn't admit that I was hard of hearing. I wouldn't really sit at the front, you know, and when I couldn't hear the teacher, I'd used to switch off and talk to whoever would actually listen to me,
yeah.
You know. And
so what was the moment where you decided, actually, this is ridiculous?
When I got older, when I was 18, I went to live in America and I did a parachute jump and got another perforated eardrum, and I lost my hearing completely. Near enough, it is up and down. And at that time, you know, you've social groups and you're going out and you're getting new work and jobs, and you know, it was really affecting the social aspects of my life.
But you were still managing to hide it from your family and friends, right up to
people say to me
20s.
now when they come up, I didn't even know you were hard of hearing, or, you know, yeah. I don't know.
And when you decided that you were going to tell, and I mean, apart from the fact that the minute you do that, you allow yourself access to all the hearing aids and this world that's set up for you.
Well, I never decided to tell anybody. That day never come, really, because when I did get my hearing aids, it was 21. I had quite short hair and I was pulling it down. But it was the age of 27 when I started learning sign language, and there was obviously met deaf people, and there was a deaf world and a massive deaf culture out there. And I actually realised, I thought, you know what, I'm quite proud now. It doesn't matter if I'm different.
What had you been so frightened of there, with especially with your close friends?
You know, being a child at school, I thought, you know, I didn't want to wear a hearing aid and look different because my friends would laugh at me. And that was basically what it was. But I think when you're older, it's different, isn't it? You get more confident and you think, well,
and
you know.
How did your world change when you finally almost embraced it and kind of realised there's a whole new world, there are other people in exactly the same position as you?
Yeah, it changed a lot, really. Give me more confidence, but also realise that there's massive barriers out there for profoundly deaf people. I mean, I can speak, you know, I can lip read, and I can hear with the use of hearing aids. Deaf people, profoundly deaf people, you know, face absolute discrimination every day, and it's about raising the awareness of their language and the deaf culture.
What sort of discrimination, as a person who is deaf, what sort of discrimination do you have?
Very difficult to access services, especially if you use sign language. You know, some service providers will refuse to provide an interpreter. You know, maybe if you wanted to visit a doctor or something, you know, that happens these days, it does.
Is it right that there are only 350 odd interpreters in the UK?
The last count was 469.
Right.
And
how many deaf people?
70,000 deaf people in the UK. There's a massive shortage of interpreters, massive.
And what do you do now? What have you set up?
Well, I've set up the School of Sign Language, and we aim to inform people about the lack of interpreters. So we go out into schools and promote the language and try and rid of the label that deaf people are labelled with, which is deaf and dumb. Now, just because people use different language, that doesn't mean they're dumb. It's like French or German. You know, it means.
And did you notice a change in people's attitudes to you? How they treated you differently once you said, actually, I am very hard of hearing, almost deaf? Do people, start shouting at you?
Well, yeah, but I still tend not to tell them, really. But it has happened in the past. Yes.
What about your children? You've got 2 children and your partner. Is it Glenn, your partner?
Yes. Yes.
So how do they react? Have they learnt sign language?
Yes, they learn sign language. Been out into schools because all the local schools have been involved, and my children love it. But I've got lots of deaf friends visiting, so they're quite aware, and it's quite normal to meet a deaf person.
Well, there's a brilliant campaign about to start, which is Creature Discomforts, made by the Aardman Group, who are so clever at this sort of thing, and you have voiced a character.
Yes.
Who have you voiced?
I'm a cat, Kath the cat.
Kath the cat.
Yes.
And what is the thought behind this campaign?
It's about promoting or raising the awareness of perceptions of people with disabilities. It's about changing the way you think about people with disabilities. Just because they've got disabilities doesn't mean they haven't got the same aspirations that everybody else has, and the same feelings and the same goals that they want to reach. Everybody's the same. And I think it's just about raising the awareness. I think it's mostly for people who aren't in contact with people with disabilities. I think that's who they're really aiming at.
And it's across the board, all sorts of different disabilities and different discriminations.
Yes.
Let's have a look at your Kath the cat.
If I did mention to somebody that I was hard of hearing, they would start mouthing and talking to me like I was stupid, a little bit like this, are you okay?
And one of the other ones, let's show Millie the mouse. This is another one.
Some people think because you have a disability, maybe you should be with someone with a disability, and it doesn't work like that. You can't help who you fall in love with.
It's a brilliant idea to get the message across, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And what's the charity?
It's Leonard Cheshire Charity.
And that is purely set up to prevent discrimination or to educate us.
Yes, that's it, exactly. It's just to educate, yes.
But like you said, if you don't have any contact with people with disabilities, there's almost an awkwardness, isn't there? An embarrassment. People don't know how to behave. They don't want to be discriminatory. But it's educating, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the business you run, all the people you employ, or most of them, are deaf, so you're encouraging that.
Yes, we aim to create employment for deaf people, to go out into the community and teach deaf awareness and British Sign Language. Yes, and we've actually got some free tuition on the website if anyone's interested in learning.
Well, we'll put everything from your website on ours. We'll sort of link across, because also on our website, ITV have set up their own sort of it's a launch Sign Stories. It's called. It's a major web project which you might be interested to know about. It's improving the literacy of the UK's deaf children. Were you aware of this?
Well, no.
Yeah, it's this is only something that I learnt this morning, and it's backed by the Children's Laureate Michael Rose, and the project's to build into the world's first free online library for deaf children, housing some of Britain's best books in British Sign Language. And so all the details of that are it's an ITV initiative, and those are on our website, itv.com/thismorning. And for everything that we do here, of course, we'll point you in the right direction. And thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
And make sure we encourage people not to hide it like you did for so long.
No. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.